Welcome back to the Peer Purpose Podcast. Hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Such a delight to be here with you. I'm going to jump right into this. I've been seeing this around everywhere, and I hear this is big in sports, it's big in music. I see a lot of people say, I'm going to prove them wrong, or I'm going to prove them that they should have stayed here with me. And I want to actually give you a different perspective to this. I want to bring just a different place to hopefully to you where you can land somewhere different with this trying to prove people wrong. Honestly, for many years, this was my life. That's why I wanted to be so good at football. That's why I wanted to show people that I was somebody. And this is something that actually ended me in a worse place. And I'm going to kind of get into that. But the other day not too long ago, I was having a conversation with a kid, and he was in a unique situation. It was pretty uncomfortable. And he was trying to figure out what to do about it. And I said, what? And I'll just tell you what it is. He got kicked out of his house. And I said, what are you going to do? I said, what are your options? And, I just started talking him through, because that's what sometimes we have to do. We have to ask questions. People are always going to answer their own questions, usually. So I started asking questions. I go, what are your options? And he said, well, I think that I'm just going to move out, get a job, get my own place, and prove them all wrong. And I said, okay, that is an option. But I said, start looking at this, bud. I go, you're in sports. So you're going to have to figure out the balance to how to do sports. You're in school still, right? So you got to figure out that balance, how to do school and work a job. And I'll be honest with you, with a lot of the stuff that you have going on, you're probably not going to be able to work enough hours to get a big enough paycheck to be able to actually afford your own place. And then on top of that, bud, you got to furnish it. On top of that, you have to pay electric, gas, whatever it may be, plus your rent. Renter's insurance, all the above. And so as he started talking through that, I felt like he was kind of saying, oh, yeah, you're right. But I started looking at it, and it's like, why are we in such a society today that everyone wants to prove someone wrong? And sure, I get it. Maybe sometimes it's like, I want to teach them a lesson. I want to get to a place where if they doubted me, I'm going to show them that they should have never done that. And sure, it may feel right at the time, but I'm just going to be really honest with you. It may not get the results, and it will not get the results that you think it will get, trying to prove someone wrong, because you're never going to get the validation that you feel even when you get to the place where you make it, where you feel like, oh, I'm here. People are going to start looking at you, and they're going to be like, all right, cool. The next question you have to ask yourself is, now, what now? What do I do now? Right? I want to pose a question. What if it's the fact that you want to feel like someone's so bad, and you're trying to convince yourself that you're good enough because maybe someone overlooked you, and you're trying to prove them wrong to think that'll actually make you feel better, but I promise you, you're chasing a phantom. When you catch it, it'll actually won't make you feel any better. It's actually going to make you feel like I got to do more. Okay. It's probably the inadequacy that you're feeling about yourself, and you're trying to convince yourself that you're somebody. I had a young man recently tell me, I want to show everybody that I'm this and I'm that. And I know this young man doesn't feel good enough. This young man thinks that if he makes it to a certain point, that he's going to all of a sudden, people are going to start bowing their knees and say, oh, I worship you on high. And it's just really not the case. It's not going to happen. Okay. I recently heard a story about Adam Sandler. And actually, I love this story. And David, I want you to actually put a picture of Adam Sandler in this when this comes out as a reel. But I heard a story about Adam Sandler that when he was in acting school, and I don't know where he went, so I don't really want to butcher this, but he went to acting school, and he actually was trying to get on, and his teacher took him out for a drink. And he sat him down and he said, hey, here's the deal. I'm going to be honest with you. This acting thing, it's not for you. And, that was basically that. Got a drink. Well, years later, obviously we know Adam Sandler became a really, really great actor. He went on to direct movies, produce movies. Obviously we know Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison. He became more serious roles later on. I mean, he's done a lot, I believe, for film. I don't know if there's numbers. I know I just saw something got an award. Years after that, as he has seen that success, he was with some friends out one night and he ran into that professor. And he actually said, he said to his friends, he goes, hey, this is the only teacher to ever buy me a drink. He didn't rub it in. The success spoke for itself. He was so secure in himself that he didn't have to say anything. And a lot of people would be like, see, I told you I made it. And most people would have done that. But honestly, that would have said more about Adam Sandler at the time than it would have said about the professor. It would have showed that Adam Sandler still isn't secure in his success and thinking that people knowing about his success is going to hold more weight than actually the success itself. Many years after I went through my dark days, we'll just call them that, I had some people hit me up, or I would hit them up, and I would try to go back and apologize for some of the things that I did. And a couple of people said, Bobby, we just needed to see that you were okay. And as I started on this path, and I started getting healthier, and I stopped drinking, and I started addressing the issues that I had inside, some people didn't even need an apology. Some people just needed to see that the change was there and that spoke for itself. And so if you are secure in who you are, you don't have to prove anybody wrong, okay? What will happen is if you try to prove people wrong and you want to rub it in their face, it's going to lead you to a false sense of yourself. I say that sometimes on here because I believe a lot of people are actually living in the false self. They're they're putting a mask up in front of them. And I'm not talking about a mask to say, okay, I'm talking about a mask because you're trying to create a life for yourself that you think people will validate you more, but you don't realize that as you get more successful, and if let's say you make a lot of money or you get to a place where you deem that, you know what, this is good, I'm great now, you're going to only think that people need to validate that, okay? But here's what's going to happen. As you get to that place, they're not going to validate you. They're going to validate the success. And they're going to tie you to the success. So they're not really going to want you. They're going to want the success from you. They'll draw off of what it is you have inside of you, but they won't draw off of you. And so therefore, your identity is always going to be shaped around what people think or say or actually celebrate in you. And so you have to really understand that trying to prove people wrong, you're actually not proving them wrong. If anything else, you're the one who's proving yourself that you still don't think you're good enough. Okay? There was a time early on in this where I used to post all my schedules. I'm going to these school assemblies and this music thing and all these things. I had to put them on social media. And I started looking at that. And you know why? It's because I wanted people to see me doing things, because I thought that that would validate me even more. And I just realized that after a while, it wasn't the validation from them that I was seeking. It was the validation from me to be comfortable in my own skin, to say, I'm just becoming the best version of myself, and I'm offering that to the world. we have to be careful with trying to prove people wrong. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a little while. They're not actually meant to be here long term. Some people are meant to come alongside you to move you forward for even just a little bit. And then they'll be called to exit out, and maybe someone else will come in to take you even further. And some, yes, I get it. Haters, I get it. There are people that don't like seeing people's success. But I can be honest with you, that's not the majority of people. I have many people in my life that champion my success, and they celebrate me when good things happen, and vice versa. And so we don't want to create that false self for ourselves, because I'm telling you, once you walk in that for long enough, it becomes who you are, it shapes you, and it's going to be hard to break out of that. Okay? When we are known for something, here's the reality behind when we're known for something. We have to keep up that image. What we get on our own, we'll have to sustain on our own. And so we'll have to keep up that image on always, this is what it is. Okay? And so what happens is you'll be chasing more and more validation through that, because that's what it will be. And so as you get bigger, and I just believe as people, we're not meant to be famous. Like, we're not meant to hold the fame thing on our shoulders alone. I really don't believe we are, because it destroys a lot of people. But then you have to keep that image up, and all of a sudden what happens is people start saying, oh, look, they're successful. So you have created an image that you're successful, or you have money, or you're doing big things, or you're a YouTube star or a social media star, whatever it is, right? An influencer. And now, all of a sudden, you have to upkeep that. And now you have to seek more validation and more validation and more validation, because that's the life you created for yourself. Okay? The celebrity culture has actually made us think that if we are known for something, that we're actually loved for something. And that's not true. Sure, people know what you do and they love your gifts and talents, but that doesn't mean they love you. And so I know that you may think that after a while, if you're known, people automatically love you. But what happens when you don't become known anymore? Those same people don't love you. And so I want us to get to a place where we have to know who we are inside of us. I say this all the time on here, where we don't have to prove anybody. I don't have to prove anything to anybody anymore. I don't need to. I'm doing a lot right now, and I don't talk about it. I talk about the people around me. I don't post schedules. I don't do any of that, because I don't need to. I'm secure in who I am. I know that what I have inside of me was placed there by God, and I know that that's good. And I know that at the end of the day, I'm what I'm good at. And if I can offer that to the world and give inspiration to someone else and empower someone else to walk out their journey, then I'm good. I don't need to go back to the people that maybe counted me out and say, see, what is that going to do? It's only going to show the more lack in me of the security than anything else. And so it's time we start being okay with us. I get it. We live in a crazy world that makes you think you is not okay. That you has to look like this, or you have to be able to do this, or you have to be, one of the things I look at my buddy, shout out Kay Thompson. I look at him. I have always been astounded by his gift to sing. And he's a Christian artist. You can listen to him on K-Love Radio majority of the time. He's out on Spotify, Kay Thompson Music. He's releasing songs. He's on a label. Okay. I've always been astounded. And I've always looked at my situation, like, man, I wish I could sing. I've done some sing rap in the last few years, but I can't sing. And there's times where I wish I could. But I tell you what, I know Kate as a person. And I know that kid is more of a stand-up man of God than anything else. And that his gift is only what he offers to the world, but who he is as a person, that's an even bigger gift. And I validate that for him. But he's in the same boat. He doesn't need to go out and say, see, I told you so. Because he's secure in who he is. And so if we can learn to just accept people for they are and enjoy their gifts and enjoy what they bring to the world, then maybe we can learn to do that with ourselves. I'm not the best singer, but I can rap, right? To me, I don't understand how people can't talk. I can talk. I think talking's easy. Not everyone has that gift. But that doesn't mean anything else besides the fact that I like to talk. I'm pretty good at it. But that doesn't make me whole. That doesn't validate me. Right? Years ago, that proving people wrong thing, because I wanted to go to the NFL, and I went to college to play football on a full ride scholarship at a Division I school. And I remember years later, as I was getting ready to go into treatment for the second time to figure out my life, to hopefully kick this alcohol thing and journey through what needed to be journeyed through inside of me to clean house so I could start living a productive life, because to that point I really hadn't. And I remember getting to a place around that time where I said to myself, I said, Bobby, what are you going to do here? Like, are you going to lay down and let this thing take you out and just give up? Or are you going to actually stand up and fight and try to go do something about the mess that you've made for these last span of how many years? And I remember catching myself and I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm somebody. And I stopped myself. I said, no. If you've ever heard of School Assembly, I've actually shared this story at assemblies. But I said, no, this is where I'm going to stop you. This is where I'm actually going to draw the line. I've let you get away with that for many years, but it stops here and now. You've been trying to prove things to people your whole life. And how has that worked out for you, Jones? And I started to say, you know what? I think it really is, Bobby. I think you're the one that doesn't like you. I think you're the one that doubts yourself. I think, to be honest with you, this has nothing to do with anybody but you, and it's time for you to prove to you that you can be okay with the man you were created to be and who you are. And that's when I started on the journey of self-discovery, and to stop proving people wrong and stop saying, you know what, I'm going to be somebody so they think I am. Because I'm telling you, even celebrities have problems. And no matter how much success or money you see, it doesn't take away from life's challenges. And I stopped proving stuff to people. And so you can too today. You can stop proving things to people and just be okay with who you are and enjoy what is inside of you and bring that to the world. But more importantly, bring it to yourself. Because you can only love others if you love yourself. Okay? You can only seek validation from becoming a secure person yourself. That's the only way you'll ever feel validated. Creating a place where people only want what you have but not want you, it will lead to a life of mess, ruins, chaos, broken relationships, and unsatisfied adventures of always looking to the next best thing to make you feel whole. That's what you are going to be in for if you try to continue proving people wrong. Okay? I don't want to be a person that I have to create a place for me where I can be way more valuable with what I give to someone than who I am. I don't want to ever create that place, because I'll never question if I'm good enough, or my life is good enough, or I'm comfortable and proud of myself, I'll never question that. And you shouldn't either. I get it. Life can be hard. People will knock you down if you put all your trust in that. But I promise you end up broken more if you look at the outside circumstances of things instead of looking within first. I hope this helped you tonight. I'm really proud of all of you. We're on a journey. You're going to be okay. There's so much gold inside of you that's going to help you walk the greatness outside of you. Continue to live whole and a full life. And I promise you, you will display a life that you are proud of. Only you can be you. And only you can offer what you have to the world. And so let that shine very bright. I love y'all, and I'll see you next time.